Sports Addict Live NHL Show brought to you by First Round Collectibles. From now until January the 4th, First Round Collectibles has thousands of sports cards up to 50% off. That's right, thousands of cards up to 50% off. And now you can use the code Sports Addict for an additional 10% off. If the card is 20%, you get it for 30, 30, 40, 40, 50. You get the picture. Sports Addict is the code for an additional 10% off. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com and find your heroes. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back.
Hey, welcome, Sports Addict Live, the NHL Show. Crazy night last night. How we feeling, boys? We awake? We well rested? That was a late night last night. Lots of puck. John, how you doing, man?
Trying to gather myself after last night's crazy action. Can't wait to dive into this one. Definitely had some interesting events for all our teams last night.
Yes. What's it like to be on a team that beats teams that they should beat, Andre? What's it like? I can't remember.
It's pretty annoying when they sleepwalk through the first period and then you're like, oh, they're still good. It's pretty weird. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, we do the takeaways, and we're gonna get to the takeaways. And I try not to do my takeaways about the Leafs because like they're my team, and I can get like cooking for an hour about it. But holy moly, that was frustrating last night. John, we'll start with you, man. What was your takeaway from last night?
Somewhat similar to you. I don't love doing the Devils every single time they play, but I think today I have to do a takeaway for them. The Devils had a tough little win last night. They were kind of flirting with disaster against Columbus, nearly blowing it. They gave up, quite frankly, the worst goal of the year. Vanacek specifically in that game in the third period. Devils are very lucky to bounce back from that. On the positive side, I'll say they got a great effort from Luke Hughes and Timo Meier at the end. 2 big goals to secure the win, but my takeaway is the goaltending concern, man. Like, the Devils are winning, but they're winning ugly, and I feel like they're playing with fire a little bit this season. And Andre's stat yesterday about the Devils not being reliable at all with the puck line is just spot on. And I mentioned yesterday that I didn't trust the Devils to cover the puck line because of situations like this with their goaltending this year. And sure enough, Vanacek basically let one roll right between his legs. A goal that a college hockey player should stop, if I'm being honest. I think I'm a little more negative than most Devil fans after last night. Most of them are getting on me a little bit for being so negative about Vanacek. But this morning, the Devils made a big move to address the goaltending issues. One that I was a little surprised about. They sent down the other goaltender they have, Akira Schmid, to the minors. He's going to Utica. So I don't know if the Devils are saying this is Vanacek's team now, or they're trying to make room for somebody else that might be coming in. I don't 100% know what this means. I'm hoping it's the latter because I don't really trust Vanacek. He's shown flashes of good moments, but my takeaway is I feel very concerned about the goaltending situation the Devils have this year. We're kind of lucky to get some great individual efforts once in a while, but if the Devils don't stop putting a Band-Aid on this issue, they're going to play with fire in terms of long-term aspirations this year. And I'm hoping that the Schmid move means they're getting ready to address this.
It's a super weird thing where you have teams like the Oilers, like the Leafs, like the Devils, who are paying all this money for top end talent, and then their goaltending is just a mess. Like, we all watch the playoffs every year. For the most part, you win with goaltending. Now, if you're Colorado a couple of years ago, different story, understood. But by and large, you win with goaltending. And these teams with crazy talent are putting me in net, and it's super weird. I don't. Yeah, I'm with you, John. I don't get it. Andre, hit us, bro. What's your takeaway?
Just real quick, John. John, last night you had some harsh destinations in mind for Vanacek, and I think sending Akira Schmid to Utica
Yeah.
might be even worse.
Yeah,
Yeah, I went on a bit of a rant with Vanacek last night.
yeah.
Going from Newark to Utica, that's a brutal travel, and then you just stuck in the cold instead of winter. Like, that's harsh.
Yeah, where
Um,
you were having him sent, he can go say hi to like some terrorists or something and say hi.
At least he goes outside and sees the sun.
Yeah, Utica might as well be Siberia.
So funny. That's so funny.
But yeah, I'm gonna shift to we're all East Coast guys. I'm gonna shift to the West here. It was really messy at the top. We talked about it a few weeks ago how most of the top teams this year, the guys you think would be contenders, are in the Western Conference. But last night was a brutal night for four of the quote unquote six contenders, if you will. Vegas lost their fourth straight, got spanked by the Ducks. Colorado blew a 4-goal lead to the Arizona State Coyotes and lost 5-4. The Jets lost to the freaking Blackhawks, and it was also when the Stars lost to the Blues 2-1. So I mean, the Kings won. The Canucks were idle. They're still tops in points. The Kings passed the Canucks in points percentage. They're still 5 behind with 4 games in hand. But it was a brutal night for the top of the West, and that kind of leads into a question I have, which who do you think is the top dog in the West right now after the mess of last night?
I love this topic, and my takeaway is kind of similar. To me right now, it's Vancouver. And I just watching all these teams play, I just feel Vancouver has been the most consistent. And like, even when they lose, they're playing well. The pucks just won't go in the net. Where with Colorado, with Vegas, like when they lose, like they're giving up like, 4 or 5 goals a night right now. And so, I don't know. I personally think Vancouver, and I think for Colorado, it's a depth issue, right? Like, how do you have McKinnon and Rantanen having career years and you're still like having games like this? It's so bizarre to me.
I also agree Vancouver looks like the top dog in the West right now. I feel like they have the best plus minus players. They're also getting some great production on both sides of the ice. Like, they're near the top of the league in goals per game and also in goals allowed per game as well. And I think Vancouver continues to defy the sports books as well. They just seem like a very well-balanced team. I don't know how else to put it. And I think they've been the most consistent team this season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they have the best goal differential in the league too, and Vegas seems
Good
not
point.
to care about that at all.
I will say real quick, sorry, Andre, that I do think we, and not as in we, but the collective we, are sleeping on the Kings a little bit though too. Like, I think the Kings are a really good team as well. I don't think they're quite at that level, but they're coming though. Like, that's a good team down there for sure.
Yeah, I admit I probably overlooked them a bit this year. They're playing good hockey.
Yeah, they're just I don't know, they're weird to me. They just obviously they win a lot. Great goaltending. I think best defense and goaltending in the league, but it just never feels like you're watching a championship team, if that makes sense. And that can
Yeah,
change,
fair.
obviously. But I feel like with Vancouver, it feels a lot stronger. I feel like even with I know Vegas has lost 4 in a row, but at times Vegas has felt like a juggernaut. I feel like Dallas at times with Ottinger and net has felt just more daunting, if you will, than Los Angeles. Well, Los Angeles is on track to be the top seed in the West right now. So
It's a good point with Vancouver and Vegas. Like, I do think part of the reason maybe we're sleeping on the Kings a little bit is the division they play in. Las Vegas is the defending champs in the same division, and Vancouver, I think, has been a little bit of a bigger story than the Kings. So I think being the third best team in your own division could make people like sleep on you a little bit. But with that said, they're having a great year. They're still near the top of the league in points.
yeah.
What about you, Andre? Who do you think's the best? Vancouver as well?
I was if Winnipeg would have done what they were supposed to last night, I would have said Winnipeg's creeping up there, but
Yeah.
that loss really took the wind out of the sails for me. So yeah, I would have to go. I guess I would have to go Vancouver right now. They
Wow.
look like top dogs.
We
Yeah.
might as well get a Canucks flag for this podcast at some point.
I mean, to go back to Winnipeg though, like that game last night, like Mrazek, that I don't have a like list in my mind of my favorite Mrazek games. Surprise, surprise. I don't, but in my memory, that's the best game I've ever seen him play. Like he was incredible last night for Chicago. And like Winnipeg didn't no show. It was just like, but I think Winnipeg's a very good team too. But yeah, that was crushing last night, and I'll talk more about that later because that game crushed me on many levels. So I'm gonna segue from your takeaway to my takeaway. That Colorado Coyotes game. I have a question for you guys now, and like I said, kind of segues to what you were saying. So Colorado's up 4-0. It's 4-1 going into the third period. I took the Coyotes at plus 600 because I was like, yeah, why not? And of course, I paired with them with the Jets because I'm an idiot and can't just leave well enough alone. Just pick the Coyotes and leave it at that. They were plus, if I remember, what did I say? They were like plus 1760 or something like that. At some point, they come back, they win that game. Does that game say more? Because I'm hearing everybody talking about Colorado this morning. All the radio shows I'm listening to, all the podcasts, everybody's talking about Colorado. No one's talking about how the Coyotes came back against Colorado and won that game. Does last night's game say more about Colorado or about the Coyotes? What do you guys think?
I'll start it off. I think it says more about the Coyotes for sure. I mean, I think I mentioned yesterday that when they play Colorado, it seems like they never like go down easy. They don't
Right.
they don't die, if you will. Even dating back like a year ago, 2 years ago. So this year's Arizona team, we've ragged on them a bunch, 5K arena and all that jazz. But they have a solid team. They're in the playoff hunt firmly. They're just playing good hockey. Everyone expects them to fall off. Everyone expected Colorado to steamroll them, especially up 4-0.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a Coyotes team that's fighting, despite what everyone thought about them going into the season, despite what people probably still expect from them moving forward. We're 3 days away from 2024, and the Arizona Coyotes would be in the playoffs right now. So I understand blowing a 4-goal lead is ugly, but that's not something the Avalanche do very often. This is an Arizona team that's beaten them 2 of the 3 meetings this year, both times at home. Both times they scored at least 4 goals. I think they have 9 goals against them this season. I think just the Coyotes aren't getting the respect they deserve, partially because of market, partially because of star power, whatever. It's easier to talk about Colorado than it is to acknowledge the Coyotes as a legit team.
What do you think, John?
I kind of lean the other way. I think this is more about Colorado because I think the reason I'm saying that is because I don't quite agree with you guys about the Coyotes yet. I could be swayed in the future, but I'm not sold they're going to be a playoff team yet.
Last night didn't sway you?
No, because I've seen Colorado blow games like this before this year. So I think it's a bit of not 4-goal leads, admittedly, but they have blown leads.
I want to fight you right now. I don't know why. Something's boiling up.
I will admit this is not the first comeback I've seen Arizona make. I feel didn't they come back against Ottawa a week or 2 ago?
Yeah. Ottawa's less impressive, but yeah. I know what you're saying.
I think this is about perception for me, and like I don't think this is just me saying this. There's higher expectations for the Colorado Avalanche to do something this year than there are for the Arizona Coyotes. And with Colorado being in the mix for a Stanley Cup potentially and having won the Stanley Cup 2 years ago, I just think we expect more from them. So a team like them to blow a 4-goal lead to, I don't want to disrespect Arizona saying this, but let's just call them a middle of the pack team for now. To blow a game like that to Arizona, I think does spark a little bit of concern for Colorado. Maybe start to question if they're a little more vulnerable in an early playoff matchup. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this happened to them last year. They got knocked out early. So I think Colorado fans in particular are probably going to be a little worried this could happen to them again. And I think we're all expecting Colorado to bounce back this year and like not necessarily win a Stanley Cup, but at least not get upset in the first round again. And Arizona, I'm just not 100% sold on. I've said before, I think there's 6 solid teams in the West. I don't quite have Arizona in that group yet. I think one thing Andre said is accurate. They're strong. They're firmly in the playoff mix. I don't think there's a doubt about that. But I think with Edmonton still looming in the other division, I can't sit here and say Arizona's definitely going to be a playoff team yet. So I think with that said, this says more about Colorado and if their early upset concerns are valid for a second straight year.
Yeah. I don't disagree with any of what you're saying. I do think it says, like, to me, the fact that Colorado has these like super high expectations, because that happened last night, everyone's been talking about the depth problem for Colorado quite a bit this year. Taves a couple weeks ago said there's guys on this team, if they think they're playing well, they're kidding themselves. Like, we're not playing well right now. But that's overshadowing the fact that the Coyotes just came back 4-0 against the Colorado Avalanche. Like, that was awesome last night. And the fact, like, there is a junior rink 20 minutes down the road from my house that has 9,000 seats in it. There is a rink down the street that 16-year-olds play in that is bigger than the arena that Arizona team plays in right now. It's just a crazy story, man. Like, it's just it's unbelievable. I do think that it's very concerning for Colorado. I absolutely do. I think for me, the Coyotes are like trying to tell you, John, they're trying to tell you, we're not going away. Like, whether they make it or not, I think they're going to be in this mix the whole year. Like, this team doesn't quit. They don't die. Like you said, like, they're a very good team. They're a good team. But I think they can be very good. And they have these players like Keller, who I bet to get 3+ shots pretty much every night. And the books have caught up with me. The odds are not near as good as they were like 2-3 weeks ago. But he's been a very good player for like 4, 5, 6 years now. And now they're beginning to hear his name more and more. I really like this Coyotes team, man. I wish that they wore those 90s jerseys last night, but at least it wasn't silver helmets, which those Kings helmets are brutal, man. I just can't get off of it. But yeah, I think the fact that it was Colorado that blew that lead is overshadowing the fact that the Coyotes did that, and they're here and they're around. All right, let's get into it. Bad beats. I'll just start. I'll get it over with. That Jets loss ruined everything for me. I am an idiot. I tied that cart to every horse. I don't know the saying, but I tied it to a lot is my point. And it lost. I can show you all my parlays that everything else hit except for that stupid Jets -1.5. I'll also say, and maybe John, you might think this too, with that Leafs game, the over was 7, and the Leafs had 2 goals in like 6 minutes, and they didn't score for the rest of the night. That was one that you just felt that was going over instantly. That was a frustrating one too. But John, what do you got for bad beats?
That was a close contender for bad B because I put that as my best bet yesterday. I was very surprised that didn't hit. I felt pretty confident about it yesterday. My bad beat is gonna go back to the island. The Islanders did not have a family-friendly Christmas, I suppose, because they certainly had a Christmas hangover with the way they played last night.
For sure.
Getting not only shut out, just flat out dominated by the Penguins. The reason why I'm saying it's a bad beat despite a 7-0 game is because of the second period specifically. Yesterday on the show, I felt good. I felt like that game would go under. I did like that yesterday. But the second period alone ruined that entire pick because Pittsburgh put up 6 goals on them in one period. So the Islanders were clearly not ready to come back from the holiday break. Got to regroup, got to get back together. And they're ruining bets along the way. That's my bad beat from yesterday.
It's really funny that you mentioned that because I was listening to the radio this morning, and they were saying that like this should be the one day. And I was actually thinking about texting you guys, like from here on out, we don't bet on the 27th of December. Like, who knows? We're taking this day off. This is off the gambling calendar as far as hockey goes. Who the heck knows what's happening this day, man? Just craziness. What about you, Andre?
Well, I have to interject a little basketball here. I like to, when the Rangers and Knicks play on the same day, I like to make a parlay with both of them. And then yesterday I made a player prop parlay with both of them. So, Knicks played after, but I'll get this out the way early. Quickly, Randall, Brunson all did their thing for the points. Those props hit. Boom. Rangers game, they scored 5 goals against the Capitals, which isn't easy to do. They had a couple on the power play. I think they had 2. I know at least Panarin's was 1. It was a good offensive performance. Adam Fox, I needed him to get a point. Got one on the 5th goal. Mika Zibanejad, needed him to get a point. He had 2 assists. In the last leg, I needed Mika Zibanejad to take at least 3 shots. And this man, power play, like all the power play minutes, because we're a very PP1 heavy team.
Mm-hmm.
First line, him, Wheeler, and Kreider have been clicking lately. They had some really good attempts, really good looks all night. They freaking fed Keandre Miller for his 2nd goal of the season or of the game. And this guy, number 93, I love you, great hair, 3 power play opportunities, ton of time on the ice. 31 shots as a team, and Mika Zibanejad had 1 for the entire 60 minutes. Just brutal showing from center 1. We still won, so I'm not too mad about it, but 1C, you really let me down last night.
Those shot totals will kill you, man. Those shot props are so frustrating. And you know what's funny? You reminded me, I completely forgot to text you guys this. I had a goal scoring parlay last night, and I can't remember everyone who was on it. Panarin was on it for sure. Kraus for Arizona, McKinnon for Colorado. There was one other one I can't remember was on it. I completely forgot about this. This is my bad beat. I completely forgot about this. Matthews was on it. The first goal of the game was Austin Matthews' goal. And then halfway through the first period, they corrected it. It tipped off of Matthew Nyes' skate. And my parlay failed because of Matthews.
Typical.
It was a Matthews goal, called the Matthews goal, but it tipped off of Matthew Nyes' skate, and Matthew Nyes got the goal. And I couldn't, at the end of the game, I didn't even really pay attention. I didn't even know what happened. And then I checked my parlay after. I'm like, wait, what? And I go back and look, and sure enough. So you and me both, man. We both.
That's brutal.
It's tough out here. All right, looking ahead, yeah, it's difficult to just have one takeaway from last night, man. There's just like so much good stuff to get into. And we'll have a little takeaway after dark because the Kings and Vegas both played tonight. They both played last night, and I got a little bit to say on those two teams. But let's move on to tonight's action. Carolina is home. They are hosting the Montreal Canadiens. Carolina did play last night. Carolina minus 265 favorites against Montreal. Montreal is plus 215 dogs. Minus 1.5 is minus 108 for Carolina. Plus 1.5 for Montreal is minus 112. The over is 6.5 at minus 102. John, why don't you start us off, man? What are you seeing in this game, and why in the world is Carolina minus 265 favorites?
Yeah, this is especially surprising considering Carolina's coming off a back-to-back because they played last night. But I will say this for Carolina's defense, they got a nice win last night. I was personally very impressed with their performance yesterday. I didn't think they would do that to Nashville after their first meeting, but I thought it would be lower scoring. But Carolina put up 5 goals on them again and came up with, quite frankly, a big win. They weren't playing well heading into the holiday break, losing 3 out of their last 4. So maybe this is the sports books' way of saying they believe Carolina's on the right side of momentum here, coming off the holiday break on the right foot. I could buy into that. I do still have a little faith in Carolina to recoup and recover with a little more than half the season left. I know we've been talking about them arguably being the most disappointing team in the league this year. I don't personally think Montreal is that good. Once in a while, they win a random game, but I just don't think they're, like, consistent, you know? I mean, Carolina has a much better power play, like over 25%. Montreal's just over 17. And Montreal's penalty kill is really bad at, like, 73%. Combine that with the fact that Carolina is just a better scoring team regularly, I do kind of like the puck line to hit. And the puck line on both sides for Montreal and Carolina seems like near even. I think they're close to minus 110 each, depending on what sportsbook you look at. I think that's a little bit telling. I'd be willing to roll with Carolina puck line here.
Bro, you're hating on all the teams I like watching today, man. You're hating on the Coyotes. You're hating on Montreal. I don't know what I did to you, bro. I thought we were cool, but that's okay.
I still like Vancouver.
That's true. That's true. What about you, Andre? What do you see in this game?
I think somewhere in there, John said Montreal is a bad team, and I disagree with that. I know they're not good per se, but I think they're scrappy. They're fighters, and they have a 5-game point streak right now: 3 wins, a shootout loss, an OT loss. That coupled with fresher legs, they haven't played since last Friday. Getting a Carolina team that they played yesterday, and they just haven't had a good season. Not only did they play yesterday, they played in Nashville, so they had to catch a flight to Raleigh. I think this is Vegas giving Carolina too much love. We like biases, over respecting, disrespecting certain teams. I think they favor the Canes too highly. I think we said the same thing yesterday. I know the talent's there. I know the expectations, but the team we've seen on the ice this year isn't what Vegas is expecting us to bet on. I'm not taking the Canadians to win, but I think they're going to keep it within a goal, or at least push it to overtime, or lose by 1. So I like Montreal plus 1.5 here a lot, leaning slightly towards the over just because that's the way the Canes have been playing lately. In their 5, 4 of Montreal's games have had at least 7 goals. So I'm expecting a lot of scoring, and I think Montreal is going to at least keep it within a goal if they don't win.
Yeah. So for Montreal, they are 15, 13, and 5. They have 35 points. Washington is in that last wild card spot with 39 points. And actually, Carolina has 40 points. Montreal is 27th in goals per game, 21st in goals allowed, 22nd on the power play, and 29th on the penalty kill. And somehow they're 4 points out of a playoff spot. It's wild. And it's
2 games. Sorry, not to cut you off, but
no, you're good. No, and to what you said, Andre, like they're scrappy. That's what that tells me. Like this team just hangs around. I agree with you that plus 1.5 is my favorite play of this game for Montreal. I want to bet that Montreal money line. I still don't trust Carolina. The reason why I would lean more to the puck line for Montreal is the odds are fantastic, like very good odds. And usually back-to-back means something. Specifically for the negative, right? If you play last night and the other team has rest, typically it's a negative. In this situation, though, having 3 days off, I actually think playing last night benefits Carolina. Just kind of getting your legs moving and kind of getting back rolling again. I do like Montreal plus 1.5. They've won 3 of their last 4 games, like you said. On the prop side of things, Matheson for Montreal has 19 assists, 5 in his last 5 games, plus 120 for him to get a helper tonight. Caulfield only has 8 goals this year, plus 175 for him to score. I think he has to get rolling at some point here. I like those odds. On the Carolina side, Sebastian Aho, man, this guy, 3 goals and 9 points in his last 5 games, 14 power play points. As you said, John, the Montreal penalty kill is awful, and the power play for Carolina is very good. For him to get a power play point is plus 185, and for Aho to score is plus 135. Also, Jarvis has 12 goals this year, plus 215, and Teravainen has 13 goals this year, plus 225. So those are kind of, they're technically long shots by the odds, but I mean, 12 and 13 goals, like that's not nothing. So I like those odds for goal scoring, and I like plus 1.5 for Montreal. All right. Some people may think that the Kings and the Golden Knights is the game of the night, but to me, I can't wait for this game. Philadelphia is in Vancouver. Vancouver is minus 155 on the money line. Philly is plus 130. The over is 6, minus 118 for the over, minus 102 for the under. Plus 1.5 for the Flyers is minus 185. Minus 1.5 for the Canucks is plus 154. Andre, what are you seeing in this game?
This is one of those games where I wish that Vancouver got more respect from Vegas, because if the odds were, I would be all over that. I'd like to mention when we talk about the Flyers how much better they are on the road. 10-4-3, plus 12 goal differential. They're a tough team. They're a Tortorella team. You see it. They're strong defensively. They're going to fight. I don't think they're going to win, and that's the problem here, because I think they're going to lose by 1 goal in regulation. So if I have to pick this game, I'm probably picking Canucks 60-minute line at minus 115. Definitely taking the under, because I just like what both teams do in net, what both teams do defensively. Both teams have, well, not both teams. Philly has a phenomenal penalty kill, which can keep Vancouver's power play in check. So like the under 6 here. I think it's minus 102, which is the better odds. And I guess Vancouver 60-minute line, because I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win by 1 goal. I think they're going to win in regulation. But Philly, they hang in. It's a tough one.
Yeah. I've been hyping Philly up for the last couple months. I think this team's for real. I do think coming off of the Christmas break, this is a very important spot for them, because they were 7-1 in their last 8. Now they've lost 2 in a row. And in those 2 games, the score has been 11-8 over the course of 2 games. And they lost both those games. And so for me, I love Vancouver. I'll be cheering them on. I'll be betting every single Quinn Hughes prop there is. But I want to see what Philly has now. Like, they're playing a powerhouse in the West. We just talked about it. They're the best team that we think, right? I'm really curious to see which way Philly goes. Similar to the conversation that we had about the Coyotes, lots of people are asking this question about the Flyers, right? Like, this team for real? Are they not for real? Will they be around? Will they not be around? I personally think that they are for real, but now's the time. That being said, I do think the 60-minute line, there's something about minus 1.5 for Vancouver that scares me. I would be all over the puck line for Vancouver here, but something about it doesn't sit right. I think that this, by and large, this Philly team has played well defensively, and their goaltending's been pretty good the last couple weeks. These last 2 games notwithstanding, I will say Vancouver 7-2 in their last 9, 4 or more goals in 6 of those 7 games, which, if we're taking the money line bet, and I agree with you, the 60-minute money line bet, and I agree with you that it'll be a 1-score game, but with Vancouver scoring as much as they have been. I'm kind of leaning the over here, even though I want to take the under, but I think Vancouver's just playing too well to take the under right now. That kind of scares me. That being said, still my favorite play is the 60-minute money line. Just a little side note on DraftKings, Besser 99 shots over 2.5 for him tonight is minus 115. I really like those odds for that. Hughes, I gotta throw out a Quinn Hughes bet. It wouldn't be the NHL show without it. 91 shots over 2.5 tonight is plus 124. Oh, you're giving me Quinn Hughes plus money? Okay, I will take it. Thank you very much. Yes, please. John, what do you see tonight, bro?
In rare fashion, I'm gonna pick against Vancouver. I'm going.
Oh no!
I think I can't remember the last time I picked against Vancouver in a game. All right, so here's my thing with this. I always feel like every slate I have to pick at least one underdog because realistically, one is gonna win. Philadelphia looks like the most prime underdog to win in today's slate, my opinion, at least. And Mark, I'm glad you brought up the Christmas break here because I think this is a big reason why I'm backing them. Philadelphia lost their last 2 games heading into Christmas break. Looked quite bad doing so at one point because Detroit was on a really bad losing skid before they played Philadelphia, and they got involved in a crazy 7-6 shootout game, or high scoring affair. Philadelphia just didn't look good heading into Christmas break. And with John Tortorella at the realm, he got on them during that holiday break.
Well, they came back in that game too, right? Wasn't Detroit up like 5-0 or something?
I don't remember the exact.
I think so.
Way that played out.
It was 5-1 after the first,
which is crazy.
That's it. That's even worse, honestly.
Yeah. So you're right, man. Torts, can you imagine Torts after a 5-1?
This is my argument for Philadelphia because they're coming off a game like that right before Christmas break, and I personally think Philadelphia needs this game more. We talked about how tight the Eastern Conference is. I think going into Christmas break before this big road trip is good for Philadelphia. They're not going to be too tired going in. And this is the first half of a back-to-back for Philadelphia. And with how Vancouver's playing in the year and Seattle tomorrow, I personally think Philadelphia is going all in on this game. I think they're going to leave their hearts out on the ice tonight, which is why it's an early pick. Tomorrow, I really like Seattle. But tonight, I do think Philadelphia can hang in. I think the special teams is kind of a wash for Vancouver's a much better power play team, but Philadelphia's penalty kill is really solid. And Philadelphia's power play is not good, but I also believe Vancouver's penalty kill can be had, so to say. So I don't feel like there's a real special teams advantage on either side. Both teams have great goaltending, so I'm not too concerned about Philadelphia hanging in here. I think this is just going to come down to Philadelphia wanting and needing this game more. It's just a gut feeling. I like them. I think they're a valuable underdog here. I would take the Flyers. I would take the Flyers tonight.
I can't argue with the logic for sure that they do need it more. That's 100% correct. However, John, I feel bad. I feel like I'm picking on you today, man. I don't mean to be at all. I just remembered something though. Early in the year, I can't remember. It was like within the first couple games, Vancouver lost to Philadelphia. Vancouver's coach, Rick Tocchet, he used to play for Philadelphia. And it was a very, very bad game for Vancouver. And he was embarrassed in front of his old home fans. After the game, he laid into his team publicly. Since then, Vancouver has blossomed into the team that we know today. And they're playing Philadelphia again tonight. I know it's at home. It's different. Take that. It probably means nothing. But to me, I don't know. I agree with everything you're saying.
I think
But
what you're saying is fair. You could argue Vancouver. You could argue Vancouver would want redemption for that reason.
I mean, no one likes getting yelled at, man. You know. I mean, anyway, I won't go into it. What were you gonna say, Andre? Saw you perking up.
I'm just laughing. You two have a great dynamic today. This is
I don't know
beautiful.
why. I don't know why. Everything I disagree with. I can't help it. I don't know why.
We found ourselves on the opposite side of some of these takes.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Usually we see eye to eye, but today it's a little bit different. That's all right. Let's see if that trend continues as we go to Vegas. LA is in Vegas. Both these teams played last night. So the whole back-to-back thing, we can take that out. They both played back-to-back last night. Was Vegas in Anaheim? By the way, to our lovely viewers, I completely forgot that game yesterday when we were doing this show. So the Kings were home and they went to Vegas for tonight's game, and Vegas was in Anaheim, and they're coming back here. So both teams traveled. Both teams played last night. Vegas minus 108. Kings minus 112. Over is 6 at minus 122. The under is plus 102. Minus 1.5 for Vegas is plus 220. Plus 1.5 for the Kings is minus 270. John, what do you see here, bro? Let's see if I like it or not. if I agree with you or not.
I got the pressure of going first this time. This is going to be a very interesting game. I think it's one of the better head-to-head matchups we've seen in a while. With that said, I'm leaning Vegas here slightly. I think this is despite the back-to-back last night, I feel like this is a situation Vegas is going to want to bounce back a little more because two completely different results last night. Vegas got somewhat got their butts banked by Anaheim yesterday. And the Kings really cruised past our lowly Sharks. Not much of a game there. I don't think any of us thought it would be. So, exactly, Andre. Feel it. With that said, what I'm trying to get at is I think the mindset is going to be completely different going into tonight's game for both teams, where the Kings could still be in cruise control mode, where they were kind of just chilling, settling back from Christmas break. And Vegas, I think, got a reality check last night. They got their butts spanked by Anaheim. My personal opinion, they got caught looking ahead to the Kings. So if this is true, then they better bring out their best game tonight. I think both of these teams are pretty good in goals scored and goals allowed. The Kings are slightly ahead of them in both. I think the special teams is a wash, considering Vegas has the better power play, but the Kings have a better penalty kill. This is just another situational game, in my opinion, where Vegas is going back home to play this one and coming off a bad loss to the Ducks, where, again, feel like they got caught looking ahead to the Kings here. I feel like they're going to want to prove that they're still an elite team in the league up against another team we're considering maybe a little underrated this year. I think Vegas makes a statement tonight and wins.
I'll let you know if I agree or not in a minute. What about you, Andre? I've got
It's easier there.
Here.
At first, I was leaning towards Vegas. Obviously, 4-game losing streak, a team this good, that's not going to last forever. They're back on home ice. These teams have met twice, with Vegas getting embarrassed on their home ice last time. It was a 4-1 Kings win. So I was coming into this prepared to be heavy Golden Knights, and then I looked at the Kings record, and I remembered they're 13-1-1 on the road, and I'd be an idiot not to bet them minus 112 on the road, considering they've picked up that's 15 games, 30 possible points. They have 27 of them. Yeah, I'm taking the Kings. They're 13-1-1 on the road. It's that simple. I have nothing else valuable to add to that. I'm going to lean towards the under.
That is a crazy road record. Oh.
Yeah. And I feel like 15 games is enough of a sample, especially with some of the teams they've played, where it's not a fluke. They bring it on the road, you know? mentality. So give me the Kings minus 112. I'm leaning towards the under, but not heavily favoring either side on the total.
I think what I'm really looking for in this game, what I'm looking forward to kind of seeing is if both teams are going to wear their stupid shiny helmets. If I don't know if I can watch that, dude. Like, I like, you guys hear me talk about jerseys all the time. I like to watch games that are pleasing to the eyes, and two shiny helmets are not pleasing to my eyes. I just don't like it. But we'll see what happens. This is the thing, John. I agree with what you're saying with regard to Vegas. I'm just saying this is just it's all written down. I'm not trying to be contrarian for the sake of it. This is what I wrote down. I do agree with you that Vegas, they are slipping right now, and they need to correct this. They need to fix this. Two trends that had me leaning Kings. And by the way, Andre, what I found interesting about these lines are like we said, Vegas minus 108, Kings minus 112, which means the Kings are technically favored, both minus money, but the Kings are favored. The 60-minute money line, Vegas is plus 120, and the Kings are plus 150.
Interesting.
Take that for what it's worth. I don't mind it. This is the two trends that make me nervous because, like both of you, I wanted to pick Vegas as well. Vegas has lost 4 in a row after winning 6 of 7. In those 4 games they've lost in a row, they have allowed 20 goals in those 4 games, which is concerning. They're not stopping the puck right now. They've and then since December the 10th, which is 8 games, they have allowed 3 or more in every single game since December the 10th. That 3 was one time. Every other game was 4 or more. And that really, really concerns me. Like, Vegas can score goals. We know this. Now, the Kings, on the other hand, since November 16th, the Kings are 12-5. In their wins, they have scored less than 4 goals twice and less than 3 goals once. And with the Vegas trend to the Kings trend, I think if we're looking at guts, like, Vegas needs this game, they should win this game. But those goal scoring trends really, really scare me. And I'm picking Kings on the 60-minute line. And I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. Your Honor, I rest my case. John, I do love you. I hope you know that.
I hope we have
Maybe
one thing
we'll
we
agree.
agree on in this next game.
Maybe we'll agree on the next game.
I don't even know who I'm picking in this.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I honestly don't even know what I'm picking in this next game yet. I'm still deciding.
I'm surprised how at odds we were, or at how at odds we are.
We don't even have a lot of games today.
Yeah.
I think the viewers need to just fade one of us. Flip a coin, fade one of us.
Yeah. I had a bad day yesterday, so maybe it should be me.
Yeah, no, man, you're due. No, you're due. You're due. All right. San Jose home against the Edmonton Oilers. Plus 330 for the San Jose Sharks. Minus 425 for the Oilers. Minus 1.5 for the Oilers is minus 192. Plus 1.5 for the Sharks is plus 160. The over is 7 at plus 110. And the under is minus 130. Andre, why are we picking the Sharks money line in this game?
Well, do you boys remember the last time the Oilers went to the tank?
Yep.
We talked about it.
That was
And Mark,
you and Vin, if I remember correctly, right? That picked
no,
the
we
Sharks?
did it in a row. So that one was me, and then the next game was John, and
Oh,
then
okay.
Vin picked them like the game after and when they lost. So we
Yeah.
had the 2 wins, me and John.
True. Sorry,
But
Vin.
I remember,
to give you credit there. It ended up not working out.
I remember very vividly. It was the Oilers struggling. You were losing your mind at just everything going on in Edmonton, Mark.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, this is going to be rock bottom for the Oilers. They're not ready for the tank. And sure enough, they lost that game 3-2, I believe.
I think you're right.
And now they're back. Completely different team. Playing much better hockey. And the Sharks are plus 1.5 at plus 160. Are you kidding me? Like, I feel like you have to take that. They're way, I was almost say way better, like they're good, but they're a better team at home. They're a tough team at home. They make you work in the tank. The fans show up. They're loud. They're having fun with it. I feel like Sharks plus 1.5 is a steal at plus 160, honestly. I know the Oilers are playing better, but it's the building they lost in shortly before firing their coach. This is a building that not many teams are getting blowouts in, you know. I like to say take away the 10-goal games, and the Sharks are a solid home team. I dare even say good if you take away the 10-goal games. So I'd love plus 1.5 here. It's that plus money. It's firmly plus money at that. So that's my favorite bet from this game. Might honestly be my favorite bet of the day. And I'm leaning towards the under because the Sharks are going to keep the puck out the net. That's how they're going to keep it tight. And you know they're not going to score against the Oilers. So it is what it is.
So I agree with you on the Sharks plus 1.5. We'll see how my 7:00 Montreal Carolina bets go. Maybe I'll sprinkle on the money line. I definitely agree with you on the plus 1.5. The under, though, I look at this a little bit differently. The Oilers are on a 2-game winning streak, 2-3. In the last 5 games, they are 2-3 after their 8-game winning streak. In the last 5 games, the Oilers have allowed 21 goals in the last 5 games that they have gone 2-3. Sharks are on a 6-game losing streak. In 5 of those 6 games, they have allowed 5, 7, 5, 4, and 6. And the Oilers, we all know what the Oilers can do. I kind of like that over plus money, but my favorite bet for this game is actually Sharks over 2.5 goals plus 120. I think the Oilers in the Shark Tank, their defense is still suspect at best. I know Skinner's been playing better lately, but why did that coach get fired in the first place? Because they have a $5 million goaltender in the minors right now. I like over 2.5 goals for the Sharks is plus money. I like that bet. I also like plus 1.5 at plus 160. Was it you said? So I don't have props in this game. I don't trust either of these teams when it comes to props. I don't. Whatever you want to get for McDavid and Draisaitl and blah, blah, blah. It's all minus money, which is fine. but I just don't find value in those personally. I'm not taking props, but I am taking over 2.5 goals for the Sharks. I like the over, and give me Sharks plus 1.5. I still don't trust the Oilers. I don't. Like, they won 8 games in a row. Okay. Like, okay, sick. They had to survive. Like something had to give. They were awful for the first 2 months of the season. I just think minus 425 is just insane. I don't. There's just all these lines. Carolina too. Like, I know Carolina's been playing better, but for them to be favored that heavily, we're talking about last year. Like, this is not this year's teams that we're talking about with these odds. John, what do you think, man? Are we finally on the same page? Can we come home? Can we come home? Can we just get along?
I mean, you're on the Sharks over, right? I'm not.
I'm on the over for the Sharks 2.5 and the over as well, and then just Sharks plus 1.5 for the puck line.
I don't think we're coming home on this one. I'm so conflicted with these.
It's one of those days, Andre. It's just one of those days, bro.
John, if this helps you, I don't know if this will help, but the more I heard Mark talk, the more I wanted to take the Sharks money line. So I don't know if this sways you at all.
All right, here's my dilemma with these two teams. This should be an obvious Edmonton redemption game because I agree with what Andre said 100% in that I believe the rock bottom of the year for the Oilers was losing to the Sharks in the Shark Tank. I think that got the ball rolling with their coach getting fired, my personal opinion. And I remember they were crazy favorites that day too, not quite to this extreme, but they were still heavy favorites in that game. And I was questioning why. What have they done to deserve to be favorites? I think the problem is I'm asking myself that same question again tonight. Why? What has Edmonton done this year to be minus 425 favorites? I understand that the Sharks have lost their last 6 games. They admittedly have not looked good. Last night they looked pretty bad, losing to the Kings. I think my real problem with this game is I don't trust the Oilers either. I think this is just one of those games. I don't trust either team. With that said, I could see this being a dogfight. I'm not going to be crazy and betting the Sharks money line here. What I will say is I don't trust either one of these teams. I don't trust either one of these teams enough to back a side in this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the under. I think this is a dog. I think one of two things happened tonight. One of two things, in my opinion, happen. A, this is a dogfight that keeps the game low scoring. Because when the Sharks win, it feels like they win low scoring games at home. And the alternative is Edmonton just blows them out and the Sharks come out flat. Kind of what happened last night. So I think either way, I like this not, at the very least, not going over 7. I'll even take a push in this one. I feel like an under 7 is where I'm leaning on this. I don't trust either one of these teams to touch the puck line. I just don't trust either one enough. I'm not feeling the Sharks quite enough, given the redemption narrative Edmonton has going on. But at the same time, I do feel like the Sharks need to end their losing streak too. So I'm really conflicted about this. I just see a low-scoring game. That's the point I'm trying to drive home.
So I looked at the puck line. San Jose Sharks minus 1.5 is plus 625. And I'm really feeling a 4-2 win now. So I think I'm gonna go Sharks to minus 1.5 here. I think the streak snaps tonight. I think the Sharks are just a matchup problem. Their randomness, they're just everything about them just throws Edmonton off.
What you're saying, John, definitely makes sense with not trusting both these teams. I do think though, like for me, it's not just a fade on the Oilers because I do think that like the over is because the Sharks can't keep pucks out of
Yeah, it's been an
their
issue
net,
for sure.
right? Too, but my leaning +1.5 is more of a fade. Like the Oilers, you watch them, man. Like even when they're winning 5-1, 5-2, it's not that they're playing these crazy great games. It's that they're getting lucky bounces. Not all lucky bounces. I'm just saying, like, they're getting good bounces, is what I'm saying. And the pucks go in the net. But their defense is a problem. And the Sharks at home, like Andre said, like the Sharks at home, who knew it? The two craziest home towns in the NHL is Tempe and San Jose. Wild. No, this is it's a really, really fun 10 o'clock card tonight. Like really fun. I tweeted out before, if you're a parent, this is just the best. Put the kid down to bed. You got one game you can keep your eye on at 7 o'clock. Put the kid to bed. Maybe put a candle on. Hey, babe, you want to watch Vancouver and Philadelphia with me? And just eat some chocolate and watch like 3, or eat whatever you want. Maybe you can eat some pepperoni and mayonnaise or whatever, which I heard was a thing yesterday, which is insane. But all right, moving on. Best bets for this evening. Vancouver 60-minute line. No, you know what? Sharks over 2.5 goals. I really, really like that bet. It's at +120. And I really think what I love about this bet is they don't have to win. All they got to do is score goals against Edmonton, and everyone can do that. So, you know, it's like I'm not tied to like the result. If they lose, they lose. If they lose 7-3, it's fine because they scored 2.5 goals. I like that one. Sharks over 2.5 at +120. John, what about you, man?
I'm really conflicted about what bet to take in this segment. I don't think I have a strong lean towards like anything tonight. Vegas I like, but it's a little too close to call for a best bet. I swear I might pick the same game. I kind of like this under 7 pick. I don't see it going over for the total. I could see the Sharks scoring 3 goals in this one. I really could. But I really do think this is either a dogfight or Edmonton blows them out. There's no in between, in my opinion. So I kind of like the under 7 here.
Andre, what you got, bro?
I'm so conflicted by this slate, but I think I'm gonna stick with the best NHL, the Los Angeles Kings, -112. It's, I mean, pretty much an even odds for the money line. They've won 13 of their 15 road games. They've already won in Vegas. They won the game by 3. I just think it ain't broke. I'm not going to try to fix it. Really good team. We just talked about them as arguably the best team in the West. Give it to me in Vegas tonight for the win. Nice and simple.
Love it. Would you consider the 60-minute line at +150, or would you rather just kind of play it safe and go with the money line?
I'd play it safe. They've already, their first game of the year went to a shootout. 2 really good teams. Both played last night. Might have some tired legs. So I'd just play it safe.
Fair. Love it. Now, can we parlay with John and I both picking the same game?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
If we can't, then I'm still going to keep that as my best bet. But for the parlay, put it in Vancouver 60-minute line.
There's no need. We got Kings money line, under 7 in San Jose, and the Sharks getting over 2.5 team goals. That many that you guys put together is plus 800 on its own. Add the Kings money line, and it's plus 1603.
No, if the Sharks win like a 3-2 game, we'll make some people money.
So can I just throw this out here? I'm not recommending this, but I'm just saying, okay, let's just do this logical math. Now, I never graduated grade 10 math. I left high school long before that. But let's just walk through math together, okay? Sharks over 2.5. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That means 3 or more, right? That's what over 2.5 means. Okay, cool. Then under 7 means that if it's not a push, the Sharks have to win.
There we go.
You might as well just throw that money line.
If you want a really good parlay for money line, Pistons money line. It's gonna make it big. Today's the day.
Like plus 2 million.
I don't know. I'm gonna make that later. No, I'm glad I said that.
Love it.
I'm gonna bet on that.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Well, gentlemen, this has been a really fun show, man. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, John, Andre. John, you've been a great sport. I usually agree with everything you say, man. Today is just one of those days. And all of our disagreements were brought to you by First Round Collectibles until January the 4th. 50% up to 50% off thousands of sports cards. If you want a trying to think of a Sharks player right now. Zetterlund card. I don't know. I do know that Owen Nolan, old school Sharks, he was up there on First Round Collectibles. You want that card? What percent off is it? I don't know. Go check it out. FirstRoundCollectibles.com. My point is, with the code SportsAddict, you get an additional 10% off. Whether it's on sale, whether it's not on sale, it doesn't matter. Enter the code and you get 10% off. Gentlemen, have a wonderful, wonderful night. Enjoy the games. John, we got to write down everything that we disagreed on and see who comes up smarter, bro.
We'll have to see who gets bragging rights tomorrow.
That's right. That's right. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys tomorrow.